guess what time it is. It's time for the Over the Bar podcast, where we talk and you listen, or not.
Let's do this now.
What's new and exciting?
Not much. Started a new job down in Kelowna. I'm back in the car business. I was out at a location in Armstrong, similar to your type of shop. I'll leave names out because I don't want to infringe on anybody's rights. Or
it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But so back in at a car dealership down in Kelowna, really enjoying it. I actually like the commute. It's pretty decent. It's fun in the morning. You get the beautiful lakes.
Are you close, 45 minutes?
Yeah, some days it can be about 35. Depends on the lights that you hit, Carmen.
And that's all 4-lane now too, so that's
pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty decent. They were doing some paving on it recently, but you can just breeze right through. So enjoying that, and that's really about it.
Your boys, how old are your boys now?
Colby will be 21 here pretty quick in June.
Jesus.
I know, right?
Wow.
And Hudson turned 18 in May and is graduating next Friday. So
Are they both still at home?
yes, but Colby apparently is moving out here soon. So he's
Found himself a girlfriend, I'm assuming?
no, he actually had a girlfriend that was living at our house.
Oh.
So they had a mutual split. And I'm not sure if they're still friends or not, but I'm not sure.
So she's staying and he's going?
No.
Okay. A little concerned about that one for a second.
She had already moved out. She had found a place and stuff like that. And Colby has a buddy that he works with at the sports store. And he was living with his brother, but his brother got a job at a place in the States, hon. I'm looking over at my wife. She's the details person.
Who's that in the background? Is that Tanis? That's Tanis back there. Hi, Tanis. Hi. We can actually hear you, you know. So if you get mad at him and he says something he shouldn't, just yell at him. Shut up! Don't say that.
She's definitely the details person in our house. Like I was telling you the other day, like how she points at stuff on the calendar.
Oh yeah, because you were supposed to be here
yesterday.
Yesterday,
but we had some pre-Father's Day things and stuff to do, so it didn't work out. But we thought we'd make this a Father's Day special for you.
That's awesome. Perfect.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So, and of course,
my son was saying, who are you doing the podcast with today? And I said, Stacy. He goes, oh, that's going to be political. I said, you think so?
I probably won't go off on too much political stuff. I mean, we could talk for hours.
Oh, I know. That's what scares the shit out of me. No.
And unfortunately, I don't have hours today because we have a bunch of Father's Day things planned. But I thought it would be a great day to come out and see you guys. Brought Tanis, of course, because her and Renee haven't seen each other for years.
And for those who don't know who Renee is, go ahead and say hi, Renee.
Hi, Renee.
That's hi, Renee. Renee is our production manager back there, and she's just using some new equipment that we've purchased not too long ago because we had a big flood here, and that's why we haven't done a podcast since December.
Has it been that long?
It's been that long, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to come out about a month ago.
You were supposed to be here actually in December.
Was I?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we pushed it to January. And then the flood happened.
And then the flood happened.
Yeah. And that was the end of that. So anyway, back to your boys. They're both in hockey too.
Colby's playing some beer league. In the ASHL.
What is beer league?
Well, beer league's just a bunch of guys that get together. There's two levels of it, actually. The Armstrong and I guess most of the North Okanagan joined what's called the ASHL. It's the Adult Safe Hockey League. And there's two tiers to it. There's a tier 1 and a tier 2. Colby's team is in the tier 2. He's on the Predators. What his coworker
is Predators, is that like a local team? That's like the Vernon Vipers, but they're the Predators?
Yeah, there's like 10 to 12 teams in the league.
Oh, okay.
So, and most of the guys are from all over the Okanagan. So they play, I don't think they ever come out to Enderby, but they use the Norvell rink in Armstrong, and they use the PV and the 2 Cal Tire ice surfaces. So it's you pay your league fees and you get, I think, about maybe 18 to 20 regular season games, and then you go into the playoffs. It's pretty well organized league. It's run quite well, actually.
And are these leagues still scouted?
No.
The boys are past that now?
Yeah, not Hudson. Hudson just finished U18. I think he was AA this year. Mm-hmm. His team actually did quite well. He was on the North Zone Kings, so that team is made up from players from Lake Country all the way up to Revelstoke over to Salmon Arm. So Hudson's been on that team for about the last 4 seasons at 2 different levels. He was U15 and then U18. Mm-hmm. His team actually won the championship this year, went to provincials down in Coquitlam. And he got some interest from some teams down there. So the first team that he tried out for, we went down, and the Abbotsford, what was their team name? Was it the Pilots, huh? The Abbotsford Pilots, which is in the Pacific Coast Junior Hockey League. He went to that camp. He walked away from that camp. He basically came off the ice after his third game and looked at me and went, I'm leaving, Dad. The team, let's just say the team wasn't managed that well. And the camp was, it almost felt like that camp was just a moneymaker. It didn't even look like they were taking it seriously, to be honest with you.
So you're saying he has been scouted?
Well, scouted in the sense that he's got some interest from some teams, and he has now signed a LOI, which is a letter of intent, with a KIJHL team up in Quesnel, the Quesnel River Rush.
Okay.
So him and Tanis will be going up to their main camp. I think it's near the end of July.
So would that be like a junior camp to try and get into, like, play for the Canucks or something like that?
Well, the Canucks is full professional. That's NHL.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the junior programs, you want to lead up into becoming a professional hockey player for sure. Hudson's always said to us that he wants to go play in Europe, is where he wants to go play his hockey. So, but if he could get some schooling out of it, like if you could, be scouted by like an NCA school or a CIS school, and then maybe get a bit of a scholarship out of it and things like that.
Right.
Right now, Hudson just enjoys playing hockey. Oh, cool. He knows
and he's 18, right?
He just turned 18 in May. So he's pretty excited about this camp. Also, a young man, Tegan, who he's been playing with for the last number of years, has also been invited to this camp. Mm-hmm. So they both kind of signed their LOIs on the same time. And it's done quite well. I mean, the Quesnel River Rush sent a LOI down with a hat and all these things.
So what does an LOI actually get them? A letter of intent to do what?
So you sign a letter of intent with a team, and it means that no other team can speak to you anymore. It means that the Quesnel River Rush are now intending to sign my son to a player's contract. But he still has to try out for the team. But the Kimberley Igniters, the Revelstoke Grizzlies, the Kamloops Storm, none of those other teams can now come and talk to Hudson. Hudson has signed his letter of intent to work.
He signs it and says, yeah, okay, I would like to.
That's right.
We can make this happen.
It's a two-way street. So he still has to go up and try out. He'll go to their main camp. And then if they like him, he becomes a player for the team. And now, Tanis and I get to spend a lot of money for him to play hockey.
So they don't pay him once they sign?
No.
So when does he actually start to get paid if he decides to go through with this?
When he gets signed to a professional team.
Oh, really? So all the junior teams, nothing, they don't get a damn penny?
No, it all comes out of mom and dad's pocket.
Wow. How many lottery tickets you buy a week?
Two.
You might want to go for 4.
Yeah, right. It is what it is. So, and like I said, Colby's dreams of playing hockey. He actually left hockey when he was 14.
Oh, okay.
He got extremely frustrated. Colby was always a bigger kid. Like we have pictures of him with his teammates. And Colby, when he was in Pee Wee, when he was in his gear, stood taller than me. So he was over 6 feet tall. And he was just quite a big kid when he played. And other players would run into him and fall down, and Colby would get penalties. He got penalized so much that he started to get suspended by Omaha, which is the Okanagan Mainline Hockey Association. So they're the one that oversees all the minor hockey associations, whether you're Penticton, Vernon, North Okanagan, or whatever. And because Colby was getting a lot of what they considered high-risk penalties, he started to get suspended by the league, and it really deflated him as a hockey player. We went to battle for him. We showed Omaha tape and all this, and it's like, this is what you're calling, right? This is what he's getting penalties for. But it really deflated him. So he left hockey, and that's when Mike from Sun Valley Sorcerer Sports said, hey, Colby, you've left hockey, but you know all the kids in hockey and stuff like that. Do you want to come work for me?
Okay.
So Colby started working for Mike when he was 14, learned how to sharpen hockey skates, and he's a pretty big integral part of that store now. Mike and Brandon, the owners of the store, they really value Colby. He's probably paid much more than what you'd think a sports store employee would make, and he's happy
Yeah, but
with
when
the job.
he's in that world, so he brings a lot of business with him when he comes over.
There's a lot of NHL players that spend their summers up here and they train while they're here. And when they come into the store, they request that Colby sharpens their skates. So they obviously know his talent at sharpening skates. But he's great at selling and things like that. The last couple trips that they've gone on, the buying expositions for Bauer and stuff like that, Colby and Brandon went to Niagara Falls, huh? And then where's the next trip? No, okay, so he can't make that one, but yeah, so they're sending Colby with Brandon on these buying trips. So so they're obviously looking at him, and he's having a lot of fun.
Sounds like he's going to be the store manager soon.
That's a possibility. So Hudson's just going to try to find a job in the summer because we've basically told him if he wants to pursue his junior hockey career that some of the financial responsibilities going to lay on him, and he has to prove to us that he wants to be able to work towards his dream of continuing his hockey career. Now, whether that's semi-pro or pro somewhere, wherever, Hudson doesn't have wide eyes. He's not, totally dream driven, but he's a very good player, and it's completely up to him. Like I've always told him, my job as your dad was to cheer you on, buy your equipment, and drive you to the rink. I can't make you do anything on that ice.
Were you ever a hockey player?
Recreationally, yes.
Oh, you are.
No, I was. Hudson's far superior.
Okay.
Hudson skates backwards faster than I can skate forward, even at my playing age, Carmen. Even at my playing age. So no, Hudson. Colby was a good hockey player too, but now, once again, he just plays it in a rec beer league and has fun. Colby excelled at baseball. That's where Colby was really, really good. When he left hockey, he really went towards baseball, and he started actually playing for the Central Okanagan team based out of Kelowna. And he actually got looked at, and he got offered a bit of a deal down at an American college, but he would have had to have left his graduating year in January. Okay. And he opted not to go because he wanted to stay and graduate with his friends.
So does he still have the opportunity to go south then? No?
No, unfortunately that
Come and
passed.
gone.
Yeah, and I mean, that was 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay,
so,
gotcha.
I don't know what was all involved in the offer and all that stuff. It never really came across our table in form of paperwork or anything like that. It was just kind of more like a discussion that was being had. But when Colby heard when he would have to be down there and things like that, he kind of stepped away because he wanted to be here for his friends and stuff like that. So, what it is.
Cool. They got to make their own lives, right? And they make their own way. And
well, and that's
they
just
either do what they want to do, or they fall and they pick themselves up and keep going and doing something else, whatever, right?
Right.
I mean, most kids coming out of school and stuff, they go through probably 3 or 4 careers before they actually decide where they're going to land their feet for sure.
Well, of course. I mean, you got to make sure that you try a number of things, and you got to make sure that you're somewhat happy at what you're going to decide.
Yeah, become a well-rounded human being when you do that.
Sure.
Try different things.
We all did lots of things when we were younger. I mean, I started bartending in Vancouver. I tried some stand-up comedy, car business. I mean,
you tried stand-up comedy?
Yeah.
With who? I always thought you just watched these comedy shows and came into the bar and just decided I'm just going to throw out some jokes tonight. But you actually went for it, didn't you?
Yeah, back in the days, like there was that old club in New Westminster called Laugh Lines. And then, of course, I worked at Yuck Yucks for 2 years and did some amateur stuff there and went on the road and did a couple shows and things like that. Nothing too serious. I realized I was never going to be that good at it, but worked with some really good comedians that I actually still see to this day. One of the best guys that ever had the opportunity to work with was a local guy out of Vancouver, but I'm pretty sure he's living up here now, was Patrick Maliha. Patrick was, just, he's Canadian famous, right? Like,
okay.
So, but Patrick was an outstanding comedian and still travels to this day and doing it. And he was just at the Roster Sports Club because they do a comedy show once a month in their back room. It's pretty small, but Patrick packs that little room. And I took Tanis to see him.
How many seats they got back there?
I think they can fit about 40 people per show. 40? Yeah, about 40 per show. And then they'll do 2 shows a night.
Is that a Yuck Yuck show? Or is Yuck Yuck still in business? I've been out of that scene for so long.
As far as I know, yes, Yuck Yucks is still in business. Whether Mark Breslin's still running it or not, or whether the people just, use the name.
Hang on. I just want to back up here for a minute.
All right.
Tell me about your first show that you ever did. Like, okay, first of all, I'm assuming that you went to Laugh Lines a lot. Did you actually work at Laugh Lines?
No. I worked at Yuck Yucks. My cousin got me the job there.
And what did you do at Yuck Yucks?
Well, basically,
and that was a club. Like Yuck Yucks is also a corporation that sends comedians all over the place. But they actually had clubs too, right?
They had clubs. Yeah, there was the one in Vancouver. There was one in Calgary. One in West Edmonton Mall.
Okay.
Saskatoon, I believe, had one, and then Winnipeg. Never went farther east, right?
Didn't.
But
okay.
no. There was, but I don't think the Western comedians went farther east unless you were like a top-notch guy, and then you got to the Just for Laughs festival and things like that.
Right. So let's back up here again. You worked at Yuck Yucks as a bartender?
Yeah, bartending. Helping the people get seated and just all those types of things, right?
So what led you from bartending and seating? Well, I know what led you there, but how did that go? Like, did somebody come and say, Stacy, you're a pretty fun guy. Why don't you get up on stage and try this?
Basically, yeah. You get to know the comedians and you're speaking to them in between, and, you're having a smoke or a drink with them in between and things like that. And you just started to have the conversations. And most good comedians don't tell jokes. They tell stories that turn out to be extremely funny. And I mean, us as Canadians, we have some really good stories, right? I mean, the standing joke is every good Canadian story starts with, so we were drinking, So we were drinking, Yeah. And then there's a story, and the story can always be different. But then it usually ends with, and we put her in the ditch. Yeah. and that's it. So good comedians tell stories. And some of them are longer than others, and some tell jokes. Stephen Wright, very monotone comedian, used to tell jokes that were absolutely hilarious.
Jokes or stories?
Jokes. Like he was the type of person that would be like, I bought a life-size map of the United States last year. Took me all summer to fold it. Right?
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. That Stephen Wright was the king of like the one-liner type jokes. He would say things like, I bought a coffee table the other day. Decaffeinated. you can't tell by looking at it. That's the type. But look at Robin Williams.
Right.
Robin Williams was the opposite of that. Robin Williams told you stories. Robin Williams is probably, everybody knows who Robin Williams is, but if you mention Robin Williams to people, what's your favorite skit? Then anybody can YouTube it. It's how they invented golf. Have you ever seen that?
I have, yes,
right.
I have.
It's Scottish guys getting drunk and talking about inventing golf. I mean, that's a fantastic story that he basically took, right? Mm-hmm. Robin Williams was uncannily funny.
He was an amazing actor.
Yes,
amazing
comedian. But just the way that he could just take anything and just fly.
Wasn't his first big hit series Mork and Mindy?
That's right, Mork and Mindy. Yeah. So
God, I missed that show. That was hilarious.
It was a great show.
Holy shit, am I old? Wow. I don't think there's too many people out there right now that remember what the hell Mork and Mindy is.
That's right. So what was Mindy's real name?
I have no idea.
Pam Dauber.
Okay.
So Pam Dauber. So I had the luxury of doing some minor acting when I was a younger kid. So when
you comedian and some acting.
Well, yeah. So this is like I was probably 10 to 14 years old. Okay. I had a talent agency out of Vancouver, Charles Stewart. Did some episodes of Beachcombers. Remember that show?
Oh yeah. With Relic?
Yeah. Danger Bay.
No.
No, you don't remember Danger Bay?
No.
Airwolf.
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
And then I did 5 Sunday Buena Vista movies. So those were the Sunday Disney movies that came on about 7 o'clock. I was in The Christmas Star, The Christmas Snow, The Boy Who Could Spell, The Girl Who Could Spell Freedom, After the Promise, and The Boy Who Could Fly.
Are these still available? These shows?
You can find them on YouTube.
Really?
You can find them. Yeah.
You know what I'm doing tonight, eh?
Oh yeah.
After Zach cooks me my steak and stuff, and I sit on the couch and have a beer, I am going to go back and look at this and go, what were the name of those shows?
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to insert them in to the podcast.
Oh yeah. Good luck. You won't be able to. So The Boy Who Could Fly. You will never see me on screen.
No?
Ended up on the cutting room floor.
Okay.
Christmas Star, Christmas Snow, you see me in some of the classroom scenes. The Girl Who Spelled Freedom, I spelled. 3 words in the spelling bee. That's the scene that I was in. but you never see me spell words. You only see me during the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm the young man wearing the gray pants, and you'll see my hand.
Do you have these clips somewhere?
No. Well, actually, that's not. I do have them, hon. They're on a Betamax. A Betamax. Yeah, when Betamax was cool, because you got to remember, like, this is back in the 80s, right? So we recorded them all with our Beta machine.
Okay.
So yeah, either way. But where I was getting to with Mork and Mindy, we're flying off on a tangent here. After the Promise starred Mark Harmon. Do you know who Mark Harmon is?
Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
NCIS or CIS or whatever it is.
You bet.
He is married to Pam Dauber.
Okay.
So when we were on that set one day, they couldn't get the lighting right. They couldn't get anything right. And it was using the old Riverview buildings, the old psych ward.
Oh, the psych ward. Yeah,
right.
So the hospital.
Those buildings were scary as shit to be in. Like, you're
You
there
were,
at
you were
night.
how old?
At that movie, I think I was 12.
Okay, yeah.
Dark. Honestly, you'd hear some scary noises at night, and it was just like, it was really weird. And we originally shot at this old house out in South Delta. But
Hang on one sec. Renee, can you grab a picture of this so people know what the hell we're talking about? Because I know exactly what he's talking about. It was a scary looking place.
Yeah. So
What was it called?
Riverview.
Riverview
Hospital. So
Vancouver.
all that being said, they used the gymnasium, and the set designers built the rooms of the house there, so we didn't have to go back out to South Delta.
I can hear you. So hang on. The room, part of the set was built in the hospital.
In the big gymnasiums, they actually built the rooms, right? So we didn't have to go back out to the house they basically just used the scenes that they'd already shot and rebuilt in those rooms, and it literally looked like the house. But one day they couldn't get lighting right. They're having electrical problems. They're doing all this stuff. So we basically just sat in the craft room, right, where you get your eats and you get all those types of things. And in walks Pam Dauber. And I'm like, no way, it's Mindy. And she spent the whole day with us. We cooked.
It's on the screen.
Oh,
yeah, there you go.
okay, there it is.
Right.
I wonder, is it still up there today? Or
it is. They're thinking about reopening it.
I
They're
heard
thinking
about that.
about reopening it. So.
Oh, look at the interior.
Oh yeah, and I mean, like
was it like this when you were in there?
No, it was basically empty, right? Because it had been closed for so many years. But see if you can find a picture of the spiral staircases, because they have gates that ran all the way up, so nobody could throw themselves off and down. They
were gated. The stairs were gated.
Completely wrapped, right? So nobody could jump off, right? But you walk on some of the floors, because we would go explore it as kids, and it would just be like, and it dark at night. You'd have flashlights, and you swear you heard screams. It was crazy.
Haunted.
Yeah, crazy.
That's what you were thinking. This place is haunted. There's going to be a ghost coming out from behind that door, scare the shit out of me. They're going to have to wipe my ass for a month.
I know. So the premise of that movie was...
It's not coming up.
No. Yeah.
Can't find it?
No.
That's all right.
The movie was, see if you can find the movie thing. The movie was called After the Promise. It starred Mark Harmon, and the premise behind it was based back in the 30s, and it's about a man whose wife passes away.
And this was filmed in Riverside.
Parts of it. It was filmed in Vancouver, right? So they have 5 boys, and it's his struggle to raise these 5 boys, and then what eventually ends up happening is they take the boys away from him, social services or whatever, and then it's his fight to get them all back. And because of what happens, one of the boys gets put into like a psychiatric ward, and that's when they were starting to use that set, right?
Okay.
So, yeah, that was probably the funnest movie I was on. But
and did you get paid for that?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, made a couple $1,000s for all the stuff that I was in. I mean, it
Seriously?
helped me. Yeah, it helped me buy my first house.
So what happened with your acting career then? What you just said?
Got more involved in racing and sports and things like that, right? I mean, your parents will lead you down whatever path you want. And I had the greatest parents in the world. I mean, they're still the greatest parents in the world. I mean, they let us do let's go try that. Like, I mean, I started driving race cars when I was 5. My dad put me into racing.
Your dad was racing?
No, my dad used to be a straight line racer.
So these must have been small cars then?
Yeah, they're little quarter midgets.
Okay.
Right? So we raced those, and it had just a blast. I mean, my dad would get home from work on a Friday night, and we could be driving to California with the race car trailer behind us to go down and race for a weekend. Played a lot of sports. My dad coached me. There we go.
Is this
after
a
the
clip?
Promise. Yeah, 1987. So I would have been 15. That would have been the last movie I was ever in.
Oh, we don't have any sound for that, do we? Oh, damn it.
But that's it right there. So that's the premise. So there you go. If you want to watch, and
After the Promise, 1987. It's a horror. Would you call it a horror?
no, it's not a horror. It's like a drama.
Ah, damn. I like horrors.
And I mean, they were only like an hour and a half long, but they were 2 hours on a Sunday night because you got to throw all the commercials and things in there.
Right.
The other one was The Girl Who Spelled Freedom, which is a true story of a young lady by the name of Lin Yan who came from Cambodia, war-torn Cambodia, and then came over to the United States.
Who's chirping away here?
That's not me. She came over and she ends up winning a national spelling bee. So it's a true story of her. The main actor in that was Wayne Rogers, who, if you were a MASH fan, was Trapper John on MASH.
Right, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And his wife was Mary Kay Place. I couldn't place her if you wanted to. But you know who else was in that? Was Terry David Mulligan. Remember Terry David Mulligan from...
Why do I know that name?
It's Good Rockin' Tonight. There you go.
Tonight.
It's like that music show, the Canadian version of Much Music.
Oh,
Or
okay.
MTV or whatever it was.
That was on
right? So,
MTV or what do we call it up here?
Much Music.
Much Music. Yeah. Okay.
So, and my mom was actually in that movie too, because when we did the scene for the spelling bee, they needed people in the crowd. So like the parents that came out, they're like, "You guys want to be in here?" And it was.
Has anybody ever brought up these movie clips and just put them all together for them?
No.
Nobody's done that?
No.
I think somebody's got to do that. Just so we can embarrass the shit out of them.
Yeah. Good
Well,
luck
that's
trying
awesome.
to find
So,
them. Yeah.
And then you decided not to pursue the acting career. Do you regret that?
No.
No.
No, not at all.
No.
I know some people. I mean, we all know people, but I know some people that have some fame and things like that, and I wouldn't want it.
No?
I honestly wouldn't want it. My nephew was on The Highway to Hell.
By the way, cheers.
Oh yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Cheers back over there too. Oh, you had us on the split view. Oh yeah. Yeah, we have a
there
new
you go.
toy.
Perfect.
We have a new toy.
I'm gonna keep looking at the TV. Anyways, how
do I look?
Yeah, how do I look? Oh, I don't care how I look. So my nephew AJ, my sister's oldest boy, he worked for Jamie Davis.
Jamie.
That's the gentleman whose towing company is basically based around the Highway to Hell. The story about the towing on.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, the Coquihalla
absolutely.
and the 3 highway, the 1 highway, and all that stuff. Right. They're the guys that show you the rescues of the big trucks that flip over and stuff.
Have you ever talked to anybody? Well, we'll get back to it for a second. Have you ever talked to anybody that watches that show out of the United States?
No.
They think it's pure hell.
Do they really?
You drive that road? Yeah, at least twice a year, probably.
Oh, twice. Like probably more for me. I think I drive it about.
How do
7
you
times a year.
survive that? Point my truck and drive it. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah,
Jamie Davis.
so he was on a number of episodes of that. I don't know how many and stuff like that, but Tanis and I have met Jamie and things like that. But you just even in Hope, like if Jamie goes out to try to eat or anything like that, he's literally mobbed by people, right? Like
That was quite a popular show.
very, very popular, very, very popular. show.
Is it still on?
I think so.
Is it?
I'm
I don't
not,
have the
I'm not 100% sure. AJ's gone out to Saskatoon with his girlfriend now, so that's where he is. So
Yeah, because I watched that when we had cable.
yeah, Tanis and Hudson loved it. Right?
Sounds so archaic to have cable.
It's cable. Yeah. Yes, we have cable.
Yeah, we watched that I love that show. It was
Right.
great.
So I just and I mean, I guess fame's great, and I mean, maybe the fortune that comes with it, but would you want to give up that part of your
Privacy.
person? Well, and that's just it. I mean, you look at the ultra famous. If you're a Will Smith or a what's that girl who follows the Chiefs, Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Right. Any like that, you can't go anywhere, and you're judged for no matter what you do. You wear the wrong thing. You park the wrong way. It's.
Highway to Hell is still on Netflix. You can
Oh,
watch
there you
it.
go.
Oh, really?
There you go.
I don't have a Netflix account.
I thought she was going to put it up on the TV.
I canceled my Netflix account when Trump put all the tariffs on us.
Did you?
That was my way to fight back. Fuck you, Trump.
Yeah.
I am not watching any Netflix.
I've got-
Netflix. I haven't had my fix of Netflix.
Netflix, yeah. It was amazing how we'll get political here just for a second, but American politics. It amazed me that when the American election was on, the amount of chatter that you would hear in restaurants, in bars, out in public about
In Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and Canadians, like, oh, I Trump this or Kamala that or yada, yada. And I mean, you heard more of it than you heard in our just most recent election.
Oh, absolutely.
It absolutely boggles my mind. And at the start, so many people in Canada, I would say were more pro-Trump.
For sure. Everybody I talked to at that point was like, yeah, Trump.
Right. But realistically, look at what your two options were. I mean, the Democratic Party could have put anybody else up against Trump and probably won. Their two choices to
Anybody
put up
other than
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris.
That woman is as useful as a diet crouton. She literally is. Like, she was a horrible vice president to a president.
Oh, we never seen her
Right.
as a vice president.
To a president that was literally a puppet. You have to know. I mean, we as Canadians could blatantly see that Barack Obama was pulling the strings.
You think so?
He literally said it years ago. When he was asked if you were allowed to run for a third term as president, would you? And he says, yes, without a doubt, but I wouldn't want to be the person up front. I'd like to be the person behind the curtain with somebody up front doing all the publicity and all that. I would
You
just be
actually
pulling
seen
the
him
string.
say that?
Oh, he says it in an interview. You could
okay.
look it up. Barack Obama says that in an interview. Now, here's the funniest thing. During Joe Biden's presidency, those 4 years, how many times did the press secretary and other people in the Democratic Party accidentally say, President Obama, President Biden?
I never noticed that.
So
I didn't pay that quite that close
I
attention.
would say that
guess.
it happened over 10 times.
Really?
And that's a Freudian slip, right? And I mean, he's the first president that was really never in the White House. They actually built fake offices for him to have.
for Biden.
Yeah. Seriously, look this stuff up. I mean,
Can you find something? Can you
maybe
Google Biden's fake offices?
yeah, and see if you can find the pictures.
Just let us know if you find
So
something.
I have American family and friends and stuff like that. And they were very pro-Trump. Now they're kind of against it. But I think that the reason why Trump won this time is because look at what the other option was.
Well, I think a lot of it, like if you go down and do any traveling in the States, you're going to find that a lot of the people down there are very, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but redneck, right?
Sure.
They're way more conservative than they are liberal for sure. And the stuff that's getting shoved down their throats and stuff right now, and as for us Canadians as well, when it comes to our woke societies, I think people are just getting fed up with it. I know I'm fed up with it.
Yeah.
Just being in Canada. I mean, it's gotten a lot better since Trump's gone. We're very early into this new regime that we have up here. Ooh, did I call it a regime? Damn it. But yeah, so I can see where the tide is probably, or why Trump got in there, because people were just so fed up with so much stuff.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, it's just
And that left the door open. And you're right. They shoved Kamala Harris in there, who really didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Like it was like, what? You were done. There was nothing.
Basically, she didn't campaign.
Right.
She literally didn't campaign.
Everything was written for her.
Right.
If a question came out, she looked at you and went back to a different answer for something she had maybe said.
It was almost like she was filibustering.
Yeah,
While
absolutely.
she was campaigning. Like it'd be like, okay, so what are your thoughts on this? Well,
She
let
didn't
me
have
tell
any.
you what I'm going to do over here. Right? Did you find the fake office pictures yet? Maybe it was a conspiracy theory.
It could be.
But the
world is a great place when can you imagine how boring it'd be if we didn't have conspiracy theories?
Yeah. So and here's the other thing too. It amazes me how quickly Joe Biden has disappeared.
Yeah, he's sick though. He's got what?
Understandable.
The hell has he got?
Cancer.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
So
yeah.
I mean, and understandable. But let's look at the Canadian version of this. How much you heard about Trudeau lately?
Nothing.
Right.
Not a goddamn
Here's
thing.
a man that was in power for 9-10 years, in politics for 14, came in with a net worth of $2.5 million.
Left with what? 400 million?
Well, something like that.
Yeah.
Nobody questions it. And immediately after he leaves, he's gone like a fart in the wind.
Yep. Okay. So do you think that's because the media is not interested in him, or they're just going, you know what, dude? You put up with a lot of shit for how many years? 12 years? 8 years? 10? How many years was he in power for? How many?
He was in politics for 14 years.
14 years, but the leader of the party for 10.
Right.
Right. So
Now, can you imagine after how hated he was at the end? I'm sure he's not out there doing any public speaking yet.
Well, that's about his only thing he has left to do would be through that Trudeau Foundation, would be public speaking.
He doesn't need to do anything else.
No, I get it. I mean,
but if he ever did come back, and I can understand why he would probably want to give it a few years,
Yeah.
because he was very hated. The unfortunate part was, and this is something that drives me nuts about politics, Trudeau, he's the puppet. He's
Of
the
course.
guy out front.
Of course, yeah.
It's the Liberal Party that tells him basically what to do. I mean, he can make some decisions, how many he can actually make and what kind of rules he can actually do. I don't know. I don't follow that closely. So, but everybody hated him, but they vote the Liberal Party back in.
right. So that's the whole thing. And as much as you know me, Carmen, and you've seen some of my posts and you've heard me talk about things
No,
and we discuss things. It's not that I'm completely against liberal policies. Yeah. I'm against what they've been doing and how they've basically been destroying Canada for the last 10 years. I mean, it's if you think anything that they've done or allowed to happen, like obviously the experiment of legalizing and decriminalizing hard drugs in BC was an absolute and utter fucking failure.
Yep.
Excuse my language, but them not to recognize it already. I mean, well, you hear that new guy and he's like, well, it runs out in January 2026. It should run out right now.
The new guy.
Yeah.
Mr. Carney?
Not Mr. Carney, the guy who's his health or the safety minister.
Yeah.
The one that doesn't know what a PAL is. The one that doesn't know what the 3 classes of firearms are, but that he's in charge of this now. And don't get me started on that. Now listen.
Apparently he started.
I'm a proud and legal gun owner.
Right.
Okay. I have followed every law that is in place. I have my licenses. I have firearms that are legal. I keep them locked up. I keep the ammunition separate. I've taken the courses. I've done everything. And any legal, law-abiding citizen has to do that in Canada.
Correct.
And now they're instituting all these laws, all these regulations, banning specific guns because of the way they look, the way they feel. Okay, fine. But slow it down.
You agree with that?
I agree with certain things, without a doubt. The handgun ban, I have no problem with it, to be honest with you. I no longer own handguns. Lost them in a boating accident.
Uh-oh.
It's awful. Boat capsized, they're all at the bottom of the ocean. Never see them again. So with that being said, I'm pretty sure I'll have a knock at the door. Hi, can we come into your house? Do you have a PAL?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I did.
Okay. So as a legal...
I do.
Okay.
I still have it, right? Yes, I do.
As a legal gun owner in Canada, every 24 hours, you have a criminal record check run on you.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Every 24 hours?
Yes, about that, yeah. So here's my biggest issue with the handgun ban. Let's get back to that.
Okay.
Here's my biggest issue with the handgun ban. You want to ban the future sales of handguns in Canada? You want to take them away from gun owners or store owners and things like that? Fine. Stop it right there. But the ones that legally exist right now should still be able to be bought, sold, or traded.
Grandfathered in, more or less.
Right. Yeah. Legally to the people that are allowed to have them. So if you have a restricted PAL, you can purchase my firearm from me legally through all the processes and all those types of things. Because there's certain people that have handgun collections of 20 guns. And handguns in Canada are...
Oh, there's people who have handgun collections of hundreds
Perfect.
of guns.
So let's just say you got a friend that's got 20 handguns. The average handgun in Canada can be $1,500.
Right.
So you're talking $20,000 to $30,000 worth of firearms, which are now paperweights. Not only can't you shoot them anymore, you can't transport them anywhere, and you can't sell them, and you can't get your money
even
back.
If you have your handgun license, you can't get it to a gun range anymore?
I'm pretty sure that all that stuff has changed. Like I said, I haven't had my handguns for years. Lost them in a boating accident. I don't take them anywhere.
Somebody in the chat will let us know for sure.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt. So, but the laws have totally changed, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, they've taken a person's collection and made it utterly useless. So my question to the safety minister at the time when they brought that out, I believe was Bill Blair, and to Justin Trudeau would have been, let me give you an example of this. Justin Trudeau's got that old gull-wing Mercedes, right? That 1954 silver gull-wing Mercedes. There's a very famous picture of him sitting on it, right? That car's value is like $2 million.
Wow.
But that car nowadays wouldn't pass a safety test to save its life. I don't even think it's got seatbelts in it. So
Gotcha.
guess what, Justin? You cannot sell that car, trade that car. You can't do anything with that car.
That is a deadly weapon going down the highway.
You're right.
Yep.
So, and by the way, when you die, the government's going to take it and sell it to someone and keep the money. It's no different than what they've done with people with handguns. They went through every conceivable step to purchase and own those guns legally. And the government just went, yeah, well, thanks for doing that. See ya.
So is the government paying the value of the gun?
I don't know about the buyback program.
Okay.
I don't know about the buyback program. So with all that being said, it's just that to me, that's a perfect example of that. Now, if there's people that want to have handguns as a hobby, that's fine. Here's all the laws in place that you need to follow.
Well, it doesn't make any sense to criminalize the law-abiding citizen for having that handgun. Because like you said, we've gone through all the steps to make sure.
Yeah.
So why do they take it all away from us? But the criminal who gets caught with a gun, what's he going to get? A couple months in jail? If now?
He'll get a lifetime ban on owning firearms. But
he didn't have a license to start with, though.
Right. So that's the funniest thing, Carmen. And that's what it all comes down to. The Canadian government, federally, can institute as many firearm laws as they want to, and every legal gun owner will follow them so that they can maintain shooting, hunting, whatever you want to do with your firearms.
Absolutely.
Criminals don't follow laws.
They don't give a shit.
Right. So
that's why they're called criminals.
Right. You can still not buy a handgun in Canada. You can't. They banned it all. But yet there's still criminals with handguns. So where are they getting them from?
You can't buy a handgun in Canada anymore?
No. No, you can't buy them. No, there's not a handgun in Canada. Huh. So, I mean, well,
there are handguns in Canada, of course.
But no, you can't buy them anymore. Wow. So, and like I said, it's just the legal gun owners always followed the process, right? It's just as simple as that. Criminals don't follow laws, right?
No,
we all speed. Not. If you get caught, you pay a ticket, right? You and I can go out hunting. You can go out hunting with any of your friends. If you get caught out in the bush not following a regulation or anything like that, your guns can be confiscated. You can face up to 5 years in jail.
Right.
You're a legal gun owner.
They can take your truck away, too.
They can do tons of things. Because you're a legal gun owner and you missed one law. Like if you're carrying too much ammunition or your magazine's too big, or if you didn't put your plastic plug into your shotgun.
Absolutely.
Things like that. You can face up to 5 years in jail, $20,000 fines. You can have your guns, your trucks, everything taken away from you. You could lose your PAL, right?
Right.
Criminals who have a rap sheet as this thick.
Yeah, having machine guns with that hold
could go
200
into
rounds.
Could go into a bank and rob a bank, right? And he gets 6 months.
Maybe
6 months, right? Yeah. It's like it's kind of crazy. So the laws seem to, especially when it comes to the gun laws in Canada, seem to punish the legal gun owner.
So do you think that maybe they're trying to do what they did in was that Chile or whatever, where they disarmed the population and then all hell broke loose?
That's jumping way down the rabbit hole.
It is for sure.
You'll never be able to ban firearms in Canada. I mean, it's just completely. There's just so many, let's just call them special interest groups that need them for hunting and such, right? So
I would never say never. I would not say never say. Yeah,
I think that's an overstep of the government's power.
Well, the government oversteps on so many.
But of course,
things.
Right? We don't have rights in Canada. We have privileges, right? You don't have the right to drive. Your province.
You are privileged.
Your province gives you the privilege of driving.
That's come up only in the last 5 years, where I've actually been hearing that put in that way.
A lot of the young people think that they have these rights, and you don't have rights in Canada. We don't have freedom of speech. We have freedom.
Not Bill C-62 comes through.
Well,
62, I believe. 63, yeah.
But C-63 didn't pass. You can Google.
But they're
that
re-looking at it now.
Of course, but in Canada we have freedom of expression is what we have, right? Down in the States, you have the right to bear arms, right? I mean,
in some states.
In all the states, you have the right to bear arms. There's different laws in certain states. Like in Washington State, you can open carry. I mean, that's the most interesting thing. We were down for Hudson's hockey team in Spokane, and we went to a Golden Corral, which is like a smorgasbord type place, eh? Okay. And we go in there, and there's people sitting there eating, strapped, like they got guns and holsters right there. Open carry, you can. It's unique. I mean, when you're not used to it, when you see people walking down the street with firearms, it's just like, hope that guy's a cop. It's just,
I wonder what their crime rate is like down there in the states that are allowed to carry firearms on their person.
Well, once again, you get to that, and I mean, some people might think it's a derogatory term, but you get to that redneck mentality of the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Okay, well, I hope the good guy can shoot, right? Yeah. You see a lot of those tapes that you see on those caught on camera things and like that, and it's like the guy fires off 12 rounds and
doesn't hit anything.
Right. So where did those 12 rounds go, right? So you have to be...
That's a good point. I never thought of it that way. Yeah, that's right. If you're not professionally trained. Now, do they have to be professionally trained to carry? I don't know.
I think that this is where it becomes state versus federal, right? Yeah. The federal Constitution says that any American has the right to keep and bear arms. Now, of course, the whole Second Amendment is a lot longer than that, but that's basically what it says.
It doesn't give them the right to carry,
but then each state has their own state laws, right? Which is no different than in Canada. There's federal laws and then there's provincial laws, right? So there's things like that. And then there might actually even be county laws, right? Because they have counties down there, right? So is what it is. But you'll never be able to take that away from Americans, right? But Americans have specific rights. Canadians have privileges, right? We have a charter of freedoms, right? That's basically what we have. I mean, Canada's a completely different country. I love Canada. I think we have a great country. I'd just like to see our politicians work together and make it the country that it could be.
Could be. So I mean, and this is really funny that you bring that portion up, because it wasn't until too long ago, until Trump put all the tariffs in, I had no idea that we had trade barriers between provinces.
Right.
I had no idea about it.
Yeah.
And now they're saying that if we can drop all the trade barriers, our GDP will be, we don't need the United States.
Right. So you have 10 provinces, right, and 3 territories that battle amongst themselves. It absolutely boggles my mind. What our federal government does and says, what they say and then what they do are two completely different things. We carbon tax the shit out of our population, where basically Canada's been proven to be pretty much carbon neutral. We've been trying to get a pipeline to the West Coast to get our LNG over to China to stop so that they could use that rather than having...
We have that now.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. But they tried to stop it for so many years.
Right.
What China and India produce in one day, Canada doesn't produce in a year. So we're trying to get stuff out. We're also got some of the biggest oil reserves in the world. Why do we constantly keep importing barrels of oil?
That is a really good question.
We could make Canada rich. And as much as I don't fully agree with the Alberta Premier and the way she's kind of going at things, she makes a good point. Like, Canada could become super
I was hoping
rich.
That we could buy her.
Yeah. Right.
I actually put it out on social media to all the Albertans. Can we buy Danielle Smith, please?
Yeah.
We would love to have her here.
The other thing that's broken with Canadian politics versus Americans is America, you vote for a president. You truly do. Right. I mean, you vote at a county level, a state level, and then a federal level. You vote for a president. You could vote democratically in your state and be like, I like that guy as a governor. He's awesome, but I don't want Kamala as my president, so I'll vote Trump, right? So you go Republican that way. In Canada, we vote for a party. We vote for a specific person in our area, and then the party that gets all the seats, their leader is then proclaimed the Prime Minister of Canada by the Governor General.
Right.
Right. So you're not like, then that's the whole thing. I hate Justin Trudeau. I don't think he's a good politician. I truthfully don't. Right. And I don't like some of the liberal ideas. That's why I would vote conservative. But I think that they knew that at the next election that it was going to be difficult for them to win. They put
the Liberals?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, they were down like to, wow. They were barely above the NDP.
But for the 2 years leading up to it, you know that they restructured a lot of ridings?
Oh, probably. No, I don't know that for sure.
But they did it all over the country, Carmen. How is it that Pierre Poilievre, who held his seat in his riding for 20 years, lost it after they restructured it because they brought in all that liberal side of that one
No, that was a
area.
targeted attack. There was a group of young guys who got together and to make a political point.
But it's true. But they also restructured his riding that brought in a huge portion of a red riding that was right beside it. So that's why it was such a close race. He didn't lose by much. So I think that there was some strategy going on and things like that. But how Carney was actually elected the leader of the Liberal Party was kind of weird as well. Like other people who were running against him were removed, and
That
it's
girl,
like-
that girl out of Alberta was removed.
right.
Yeah.
And it's just you knew it was going to be him, right? Like you just knew, and that's the one thing that I don't like about Canadian politics. But either way, I mean, look at Jagmeet Singh. He was so wishy-washy, and he jumped on the coattails of Justin Trudeau. He did such a poor job and destroyed the faith in NDP voters that the NDP is not even a nationally recognized party now. What did they win?
Correct.
7 seats.
Yes.
7 seats. He destroyed the NDP single-handedly by basically telling NDP voters, oh, well, I'm trying to get you good dental, so I'm just going to jump on the coattails of this guy, right? And it destroyed them. 7 seats. He lost his seat. Do you think he cares, though?
No.
He got his pension. That's
exactly.
all he
Yeah.
wanted. And now the NDP's not recognized. I'm actually surprised they got 7 seats, to be honest with you, because that's how poorly they did. I'm really surprised, though, that the Liberals pulled it out. It is what it is.
Well,
Ultimately,
and if you watch the Ipsos Reid polls they were doing the exit vote or exit, what do they call it? Exit polls when people are coming out of after voting. And I believe, I don't know if my numbers are exactly correct, but 72% of all voters, when asked the question, did you vote Liberal? Something along the lines, did you vote Liberal because of Trump? They all said yes.
really,
It was all because of Trump.
elbows up.
Yeah, elbows up didn't help very much. Where the hell did that even come? Elbows up.
I don't know where that came from. I think it was that Mike Myers commercial where Mike Myers came back and him and Carney were leaning over the boards of watching a hockey game. And I think
Okay.
Mike Myers was the one that said it first.
Elbows
right?
up.
Elbows up like a hockey player, right?
So is that like a check? Is that like we're checking you?
Right. I guess so. But where elbowing is a penalty in hockey, so that kind
Okay.
of made me laugh. But
Now, what do you like? What's your honest opinion of Carney?
I don't like him.
No.
No, I don't like his history. I don't like what he's done in other countries. I mean, basically, he led Trudeau down the path that's taken Canada the way it is. He's come in, and as far as I'm concerned, it's just been a grand facade so far. He signed orders in council and held them up like Donald Trump.
Which
Like,
he can't do.
Well, you can sign an order in council.
It doesn't mean
but
anything, though.
It didn't mean shit. It's a piece of paper, right? It's basically just a facade. It's like, here, look what I'm doing. But literally, because the carbon tax is a law, you literally have to take it to Parliament and then go in and rescind it. It has to go through all the steps,
Yeah.
right? So you signing a piece of
So
paper.
our
saying,
prime
"I'm gonna
minister
do
does
this."
not have the same legal powers as the United States president.
No, the United
can't.
States president can veto things.
Right.
Right. I mean,
We cannot.
No, I don't believe so. Not
As far
at
as
all.
I know, we can't.
Right. So an order in council still has to go all the way through, and it still has to be signed by the governor general. Right.
But they were able to cut it out right away. So whatever power that was, I don't know.
They haven't cut it out, Carmen. They just reduced it to zero. The carbon tax still
gotcha.
exists.
Oh, yeah.
It's just reduced
Reduced
to
to
zero.
zero. So they could bring it back
Oh,
anytime,
anytime they
too.
can just go, let's just up that to 10%.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's the GST. We're going to get rid of the GST. What did they do? They got rid of it for 3 months. Right?
Well, that was Trudeau.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. But they got rid of it for 3 months. It used to be 7%. Now it's down to 5%. You can change any tax that you want, but to actually eliminate it, to get rid of it, it's no different than when you institute it.
You have to have it voted out.
Yeah, you have to have it voted out. It has to go through the proper channels, right? Or else you could just have any guy like Carney signing pieces of paper going, nada doo-doo, stick your head in poo-poo. Right? You know, like, I know the Conservatives put this in last time, but I don't like it. So da-da-da-da-da.
It's funny
Right?
because right after, like, trust me, I was all over Poilievre. I still think that he should be the leader. And so, unfortunately, he's not.
Right.
And we have the Liberal Party back in with Carney at the head. I listened to his, what do they call that, the throne speech here?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I listened to that speech, and I wasn't overly. I guess deep down inside, I went, "Oh man, well at least he's better than Trudeau." I find that Carney might be more center left than, or center right.
Sure.
Center left, lefty. Yeah, center left, than fully left, like the last under Trudeau was.
Okay. And
So maybe he will be able to do something, because I know there's a lot of people in this country that are scared that under the Conservatives, all their social programs are going to get yanked out, which is normally what happens.
that's a possibility without a doubt.
And they reduce the size of government because the liberal government just increases the size of government exponentially,
Oh, it's incredible.
massively
Yeah.
huge. I have another friend of mine that comes on here every once in a while, Craig Williams. I don't know if you know him.
I know Craig. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the stuff that I've learned a shit ton from him too.
Mm-hmm.
He brings in.
Incredibly smart.
He comes in with guns blaring and the paper to back it up.
Right.
So, where was I going with this? Anyway, with Carney, to me, I think it's a wait and see. I've heard all the back stuff that was coming out full force during the election because everybody wanted to discredit him as quickly as they possibly could.
Right.
And I always look at it this way: somebody can tell me whatever they want. It's up to me to either believe it, research it, or wait and see what happens. And I'm at the attitude of I'm a bit of a wait and see on this one.
I feel the same. Like they definitely tried to attack him on so many different levels. I mean, I don't truthfully like the fact that for the last 10 years he has not lived in Canada.
Correct.
His wife and his son or daughter, I'm not sure what that, and I'm not being derogatory here, but I know that his son is trans or his daughter is whatever, so I'm not sure if it's a boy or a girl. But they live in New York,
Okay.
right? He basically, to my understanding, has 3 citizenships, right? So he's,
I don't know if he's got the U.S. I know he's got British.
yeah, he's British, but I thought he also had Spain. I could be wrong, but either way, for a man that hasn't lived in Canada for the last 10 years and all of a sudden he's our leader, that strikes me as a bit eerie. However, he is the leader. There's not much we can do about it except scream from the top of our lungs, but that's not going to make a big difference.
No,
Right?
look what's happening out in the States right now. It doesn't make any difference
I
how
know
much we scream.
It makes no difference. So you're right. Let's see what he can do.
Right.
Let's give him a chance and see what he can do. But ultimately, like I said earlier in this podcast, I just like to see the government on both sides start working together to make Canada a better fucking
to live.
place.
Absolutely.
Like, that's my whole thing. And a piece of advice that my dad said to me years ago, and you could stand on your soapbox and scream. And you could pick your side. You could be a liberal. You could be a Democrat or a conservative. You could be a Republican or a Democrat down in the States. But they need to work together. And that's ultimately it. And when you look at it, there's a right wing and there's a left wing. But it's the same fucking bird. Right?
Yeah, very
wing,
well
left
put.
wing,
Very well
it's
put.
the same fucking bird.
Yeah.
So if the right wing and the left wing can just find some equal ground and start making Canada great again, America great again, and then we can get our free trade going and we can become the powerful countries that we were maybe that would be awesome. And China wouldn't be in charge of fucking everything. Right? Yeah. So the fact that the United States and Canada have all these oil reserves and we import so much, why don't we just start selling our oil like crazy? Right? Let's start building some infrastructure. Let's start doing some things.
Well, you've got leaders like Eby, who refuses to let another pipeline go through British Columbia.
Why?
You've got, what's his name from Quebec. He's like, over my dead body. There's
Right.
pipeline. You got to go up and over. Won't let it through. Why? Is the
Right.
right question. Why?
That's just it.
Because we have so many liberals, environmentalists that are so worried about a pipeline going through British Columbia, which, British Columbia has a beautiful country. It's
Sure.
a beautiful province. The landscape is amazing. But why are we landlocking what is the future of Canada? Everybody's trying to say, okay, well, we need to get away from fossil fuels. We got enough fossil fuel to last another, 30 generations.
Right.
I don't know the exact
So-
number, but now they're pushing us all towards electric, and that's just to line somebody else's pockets, I think.
So I laugh when people call it fossil fuels because that term was coined by an American billionaire to monopolize it and make it seem like it could run out.
We
Right.
had this conversation just the other day, Renee and
So
I.
fossil fuels is a misnomer. Oil's there. You can suck an oil deposit dry and then leave it and come back in 50 years and there'll be oil in it again.
Okay, so
because oil is a byproduct of the internal combustion engine of the earth, right? It wasn't created by fucking dinosaurs that died years ago. But that's the way that Rockefeller sold it to the American people.
Okay.
And everybody fucking bought into it. So
I had the
fossil
exact
fuels,
same.
right?
At my age, I had the exact same question to Renee the other day.
Yeah.
Because they were talking about it. And I'm going, how big does a fucking dinosaur have to be that you can pump out 50,000 barrels of oil a day and it never goes fucking dry?
Right. So that's the whole thing. If it's honest to God, tell all your listeners, I don't care how many there are, go just look up Rockefeller and coining the term fossil fuel and it'll tell you all about it. Because then Rockefeller also basically got into the American medical system because he wanted to use the petrochemicals in pharmaceuticals. Look into it. It's quite an interesting story. And then form your own opinion. I don't care what you form. Read it. Get educated on it. It's quite funny how Rockefeller made his billions of dollars, right?
Yes.
But it's not fucking fossil fuel. Stop right there. If you're telling me this shit came from dinosaurs, go
There had to be
outside.
a lot of fucking dinosaurs, didn't there?
Sure. Nobody knows, right? None of us were around billions of years ago or millions of years
I mean,
ago.
how big is a Tyrannosaurus Rex?
I don't know.
Huge.
As big as your house.
They're huge.
Yeah.
How many barrels of oil is he going to make when he just kind of
Right.
melts into?
Right. So all that being said, okay, now let's get on to electric. Let's get on to electric.
Okay.
Is electric cars anything? Is it a good viable option? Sure, but at a limit. Let's look at the state of California. The state of California is massive. For easy math, let's just say they got 30 million people in the state of California.
Pretty close, yes.
Let's say they got 30 million people.
Yes.
Pretty close to the population of Canada.
We're at 40 million now.
Yes, right. Stuck in one state.
Mm-hmm.
And they're roughly 38% electric cars. And their governor and state politicians are already coming on saying, don't everybody plug in at once because you're going to cause brownouts.
Right.
And they already are. They don't have the infrastructure
And neither
to
do we
this, right?
here.
And it's just like Billy Bob Thornton said on the new series Landman.
Landman. Great show. Great show.
It'll take 50 years for them to set up the infrastructure. And it's just, and it is. I mean, and petroleum isn't everything. Everything. I always laugh when you see Greenpeace protesters out there in fucking plastic kayaks rowing next to an oil tanker. It's like, what do you think that thing was made out of, right? Like your kayak that you're rowing and the paddle that you're using, the life vest that you're wearing, your bark sandwich in that Ziploc bag, everything. Petroleum's in everything.
Petroleum. We are a
Right?
petroleum-based society.
So-
We can't get away from it.
No, 100%. So can we start to reduce it? Sure. But I mean, to completely eliminate it, Carmen, will be literally impossible. So let's say we got...
Well, I think at one point it's going to have to be possible because
Okay.
eventually, those dinosaur bones, we're going to run out of those pools of the dead dinosaurs.
We're going to suck it dry.
Yes.
So let's say it runs out in 50 years.
Okay.
But how about for the next 50 years, we try to get as much money out of that as humanly possible, rather than
and
giving
make
it to the
this
guys
country
over.
as rich as it possibly can
Why
be.
not?
We are
Why
selling
not?
our oil to the United States at a discount because we can't get it offshore.
Yeah, right. It absolutely boggles my mind. So if it's only going to be another 50 years, let's make as much money as possible. Use some of that money federally to start exploring viable options.
Absolutely.
Right? Viable options, right?
So what do you think is going to happen in Alberta?
I'm not sure.
I
I'm
could
not
go both
sure.
ways, couldn't it?
I think it could.
What was that federal thing that she just, or not federal, provincial, that she just mandated that they needed 600,000 votes before to be able to send it to a referendum. Now they only need 177,000. I
Something
believe
like
that's
that.
something like that.
Yeah.
Those Albertans are pretty pissed right now, and I don't blame them.
They are. I mean, but they used to be one of the richest provinces in Canada, considering their population, right?
Right.
And
yeah.
I mean, look at Quebec. Quebec gets transfer payments up the yin-yang from the western provinces. We get nothing.
Right.
And yet they're the first people like, hey, if we built this pipeline through your province near the top, cleanly, respectfully, responsibly, maybe your transfer payments would grow.
Right.
Let's look at it that way. Where do you think your $12 billion a year comes from? Do you think it comes from Saskatchewan growing wheat? No. Right?
Does it come from British Columbia growing weed?
No. Right? So it comes from those things. And like, I've never seen a country so dysfunctional that you can't, hey, let's make some money. Nope, fuck you. You're not doing it through me.
Right.
Well, you know what? Like, it boggles my mind. And it almost makes you think that Canada's not a country.
I want to see what Danielle's, well, she could very well make it not a country here. So
Yeah.
it would be, EB's come out full force and said, no, we will. She's got to stop talking like that. Saskatchewan, on the other hand, was Saskatchewan or Manitoba's going, I don't know. This could be good. Would it ever happen? God, can you imagine the logistics of Alberta?
Right.
Would they go 51st state, or would they become their own country? Well, if they became their own country, we'd have to go Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and British Columbia. I can't see there being a country right in the middle.
I don't know.
Canada.
I don't know.
I don't know how that would work.
I always laughed years ago because, I mean, the United States doesn't really need Alaska anymore. I mean,
No.
back when they had it, I mean, of course they still have it, but I mean, it was there because, they basically touch Russia and, they want to stop an invasion and the Cold War and all this kind of stuff. But the States doesn't need Alaska anymore. Most Americans don't even know that it exists.
Right.
A lot of Americans, truthfully, think that it's down in the Gulf of Mexico because when they see it on
The
a
Gulf
map,
of what?
The Gulf of Mexico.
The
Gulf of America. Yeah. They think that it's down there because if you look at a map of the United States, because it doesn't fit, they actually put the state of Alaska down there and then the state of Hawaii over here.
Right.
So if you ask a lot of Americans from the south where Alaska's located, they'll tell you that it's down in that Gulf because they don't want Canada on the map, right? And it's way up here. So I've always laughed at that, but as a joke, years and years ago, I always said that we should get Alaska back. There's lots of resources up there and stuff like that. And honestly, we could trade Saskatchewan. It's a fair trade, right? Like most presidents would go for it because it's kind of in the middle of Western and Eastern Canada, and you could charge tariffs as stuff goes through it and stuff
Back
like
and
that,
forth, yeah.
right? Yeah, and then we get Alaska back, right? And they get the state, and they get Saskatchewan. That could be their 50th state because you're just doing a trade. But then the American map would look like this, and that's their philosophy throughout the whole world, right? They just don't give a fuck about anybody else, and President Trump's proving that right now.
Yeah.
He wants to make America great again, and he doesn't give a shit about anybody else.
I don't know if he actually wants to make America great again. I think he wants to make all his buddies great again. I think he's trying to line his pockets. Because I'll guarantee you one thing with what Trump has been doing. I'd like to know how much money he's playing in the stock market right now.
I don't know. And then once again, there's a whole nother topic that we could talk about for hours, right? The uncanny timing of some stock trades by politicians.
Everything.
And these are companies that they regulate,
Right.
right? Nancy Pelosi and her husband invest $5 million into Visa stock 72 hours before the federal government announces that Visa will be the only credit card being allowed to use in all federal buildings.
Oh, really?
What are the absolute chances of that?
That
right?
sounds a little bit like, well, it couldn't be inside trading. No,
Well,
it wouldn't. That's illegal.
Yes,
you can't do that.
That's against
You can't
the
do
law.
that.
But if you look into her, I mean, once again, I mean, we're Canadians, so who really gives a shit about Americans? But if you look into Nancy Pelosi and her husband's stock trading,
Wasn't she just shot, or her husband just shot here not too long ago?
no, he had that fight with some lover in his house or something like that.
okay.
Right?
All right.
That guy broke into their house and I don't know, whatever.
Was it his lover or hers?
I don't know. I literally, like I said, it blows my mind how it seems like a lot of Canadians care more about what's happening in the States. And I mean, they are our closest ally. They are the country below us. We do need to care a little bit, but it's like, hey, let's start caring about Canada.
Oh,
and go from there.
As to your statement earlier, when the U.S. elections are on, and the Canadian election, it's like night and day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Olympics on when the States is having an election.
Oh, I know. I love American
And
Olympic
when Canada's
coverage.
having it's a provincial election.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's America's all
And the
about
arguments.
themselves.
And the arguments.
Yeah.
You and I had an argument by text that one night. I was like, oh my God, this is 4 hours later and we're still going.
Yeah. Americans are awesome because it's all about them. And American Olympic coverage is absolute proof of that. right?
Yep.
Like you get the guy from NBC or ABC or ESPN, and it's like they only care about the Americans. They truthfully do. Like they'll be like, all right, there's some awards medal presentation going on behind us, but here's our guy, Jimmy Smith, in 18th place. Hey, Jimmy, how's the cocaine problem? You know, they don't give a shit about anything else, right? Yeah. You want to watch Olympic coverage, watch European or Canadian. They care about the sport, and they promote everybody, and it's equal, right? Because we're friendly, right? Mm-hmm. The only time, like, yeah, you travel abroad, right? Wear an American flag traveling abroad.
No.
People will
absolutely
hate
not.
you. People will hate you, right? I mean, the Americans sew Canadian flags to their backpacks when they go abroad, right? Because you really can't tell the difference between us.
Nope.
Unless they're from like the deep south.
Then you can hear
or
by the accent for sure.
Newfoundland and Nova Scotia, right? So there's some distinct accents there that you may want to deal with, but yeah, I mean, generally America, because of some of their policies in the past and the way that they've pushed their military all over the world, they're generally hated, right? And I mean, it's no different, and I don't want to get into this because I don't care about anybody's side of it, but the Ukraine with Russia.
Right.
So the only thing that Putin said was, I don't want the Ukraine joining NATO, because he doesn't want nuclear weapons that close to his borders.
He doesn't want the U.S. sitting on his border.
And everybody seems to forget that the closest that the world ever came to World War III was the Cuban Missile Crisis, when Russia put nuclear weapons in Cuba. Mm-hmm. And that made the American president lose his mind. And that's basically what's happening with the Ukraine right now. Just don't join NATO, right? Don't join NATO. And now there's this war that's been going on over there for years, which...
We're 3 years into that now.
Yeah,
right?
and it's absolutely crazy. I mean, the way that all works. I mean, the Americans send $260 billion over there to Zelensky, and then he sends it back to the States so that he can buy weapons, and then that money lines the pockets of politicians, and it's like money laundering at its finest. You look at some of those oligarchs over there, and President Zelensky, who has a mansion in Spain, and he's just bought himself a new yacht, and where is this money going? Right?
The money from the U.S., where is it going? Well, they don't even have... I watched a documentary on it. They don't have no traceability as to what the money's being used for.
The American government couldn't trace $2.4 trillion. $2.4 trillion. That amount of money is unfathomable to me. How do you lose that amount of money? And it's happened more than once, and I'm not going to take you down a rabbit hole, but the last time it happened was September 9th. Of 2001, Don Rumsfeld came on TV and announced that they were doing an audit because they lost another $2.4 or $2.5 trillion. And what happened 2 days later? September 11th, 2001.
That was after he announced that?
Yes, it was 2 days afterwards.
Sorry, I was drinking a lot of tequila back then.
Yeah, that's fine. So it was a tragedy, and I don't care how you look at it. But what are the absolute chances that a plane, which was never caught on film, hit a building that has the most cameras around it of any building in the United States?
I'm sure I watched a video.
That's
of
fine, and I don't
hitting.
Oh, the towers, sure,
yeah, okay.
But the Pentagon.
Oh, the Pentagon.
The Pentagon. And what are the chances that that plane hits the exact offices where they're doing the audit of the missing $2.4 trillion? So look into it.
Oh, I'm going to.
Look into it and
Definitely.
form your own opinion. I don't care. But people want to know why there's conspiracy theories. It's because shit like this happens and makes people think, right?
What the hell
and
is going on?
And to be honest with you, if you look at let's just say the last 10 years, pick 40 conspiracy theories and tell me how many were right. Tell me how many weren't right, right? People have been talking about chemtrails for how long?
Right.
And now it's okay, yeah, we're doing it, but it's cloud seeding. It's a weather modification. But 20 years ago, when you guys started this, it was all, no, those are just jet streams. Don't worry about it. It's nothing. It's nothing.
So you're trying to tell me that every time one of these jets goes through the sky and you see the trail behind them, they're seeding the clouds?
It's cloud seeding. It's for weather modification. They're trying to bring more rain.
In Canada?
Everywhere.
I got to look into that one for sure.
Look into it. Like I said, look in. But there's the whole thing. I don't care how you stand on it. There's conspiracy theories everywhere, and
there's all sorts of them for sure.
I'm not going to push them on anybody. Go look into it and form your own opinion. Right. I don't care. They're interesting conversations to be had. But literally, for years, The federal governments, especially in the United States, were saying, no, we're not doing it. And now they're like, yeah, we're doing it, but it's for weather modification.
So they actually came out and admitted that they've been cloud seeding?
Yes.
How's your beer doing?
I'm okay.
You sure?
Yeah. So
Are you sure?
Okay, I'll have one more.
Okay, perfect. But you know what? Let's have a pee break.
Okay.
Hang on one sec. We're back.
Okay. I'm looking up something on my phone here. So
You use ChatGPT?
yeah, I was, but then I stopped because I have to update my phone, and I'm afraid if I update my phone, I'll have to go get a new one, and then it is what it is. So, but yeah, ChatGPT is quite cool. So is Copilot. Both of those are pretty decent. I know that probably
Copilot hasn't caught up to ChatGPT yet, though.
Oh, I love that sound.
Yes. Especially on a Sunday
The
afternoon.
mountains are blue.
Cheers.
Cheers. The mountains are blue.
We lost our production manager.
Okay, perfect.
Maybe.
Oh, look, there I am. Okay.
There you are. Hi.
Yeah, it's funny when I can see myself out of my peripheral vision, and it's like, huh,
What's going on
I know
over
what's
there?
going on. So we'll get back to the conspiracy theories. Like I said, there's so many of them out there, and Carmen, you've known me for years. I mean, Tanis and I were talking on the way out here. I think we've known each other easily for a good part of 20 plus years.
For sure.
I moved up here in 1997, and I think I met you the second year I was up here in 1999. We became acquaintances. We became really, really good friends. And then you used to live in Vernon quite close to me. We spent lots of time at your house. And then you and Renee, of course, moved out to where you are now.
Yeah, lost contact with most people.
And you have. But I mean, you still communicate via social medias and things like that. And
correct.
When we do get together and do things like this, or when I've stopped by your work a couple times when I've been passing through. And
Oh, hang on a sec. Duck.
Oh, she's back.
Duck. Duck. Oh,
There
you're
she
on
is.
camera. There she is. There's our production manager.
And we can fall right back into it. And I've always enjoyed speaking with you and Renee and a group of all your friends, because we can all have constructive conversations and see everybody's point. And that's my whole thing. So take it down to the most basic thing. Do you believe in Bigfoot? I don't care your answer, but do you believe in Bigfoot? Do you believe in Ogopogo?
I believe there's things out there that we don't know about.
Awesome. Okay, so there's people that live in the Okanagan of British Columbia that swear up and down that Ogopogo's real.
Did you not see the picture of me in the newspaper? How was that? 20 years old or whatever?
Okay.
Yeah. I was on the front page of the Vernon News
Perfect.
pointing out at the lake because there was an Ogopogo.
Okay, so there's people that think it's a big fish. There's other people that think it's a sea serpent. It doesn't matter. I don't care your belief. Here's my thing. I'll sit right on that fence and look at both sides of that conversation and say, prove it to me. And that's the whole thing with conspiracy theories. So you'll have a person that'll stand on their soapbox and say, this is what I believe. And then you'll have another person saying, no, that's not true. That's not true.
Well, the unfortunate part, though, with that kind of stance is there's a story for everything. I mean, you can go onto the internet and you can put in a query, and you're going to get two different stories.
Of course,
depending on where it comes from.
So you have
to. So now
do,
it's left to you and I to sit there and go, okay.
You have
do
to.
I believe this side or do I believe that side?
You have to do your own research,
right?
And find research articles that are vetted and have been investigated by professional researchers, and that's the whole thing. Right?
Yeah, but I think a lot of people have lost a lot of faith in that, though. Look what we just came through in the last 5 years.
Yeah, let's just say it, right? COVID,
right? Yeah.
Doing your own research, right? Oh, you're doing your own research? Yeah. You know what we used to call that before COVID? Fucking reading. That's what you used to call it. You'd go and okay, I don't know. Let's go look at it. Yeah. And realistically, I get COVID. They erred on the side of caution. Right?
For sure.
They erred on the side of caution.
Yep, absolutely.
But then still, when shit started to come out, they just kept... Oh, airing. No.
They wouldn't change their narrative.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like, it all comes out now that this 6 feet thing was absolute bullshit. It's just a number they came up with.
Yeah.
The way that people
were... Throw a dart at the dartboard. It landed on 6. We're going 6 feet.
The fact of mask usage... Hey... You still want to wear a mask? Go right ahead. If it makes you feel comfortable, go right ahead. I don't care. But watching people take a mask on and off, shove it in their pocket, right? The people who are eating through their masks. Are you kidding me right now? Come on. This is just
people driving alone in their own vehicle with a mask on.
Right. So it just... COVID really opened up the eyes for a lot of people, right?
It also messed up a lot of people's minds.
Yeah. So... here, I'll go over a conspiracy theory here, which is really, really quick. Because especially in the last couple years here, and I bet you a lot of people will notice in the Okanagan, have you seen how brilliant sometimes the Aurora Borealis or the Northern Lights can be here now?
No, because we live inside the trees, and by the time they come out, we are usually long time in bed.
But have you seen the posts and
Yes.
people posting them? And it's just like, they were never like that. And it's very, very timely when it happens, when those happen. And it's always shortly after the American weather people fire HARP.
Fire what?
HARP.
What's HARP?
So I Googled this because I wanted to make sure I was reading it properly. So HARP, which stands for the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. And it's up in Alaska. And its primary goal is to study the ionosphere, which is the upper part of the Earth's atmosphere, using a powerful high-frequency transmitter. HARP is not designed to control the weather or cause natural disasters or manipulate minds despite popular conspiracy theories. Okay, that's fine. I believe that HARP's usage is for what the scientists say it is. But it's uncanny that every time they fire it, that the Northern Lights are so bright the week following. And it literally...
Hang on, they're firing something at it?
So they basically...
What did I miss in what you just read? They're
Just
actually...
go ahead and read it.
Oh, I don't read very well. I can't see these things.
But it basically shoots high frequency electrodes up into the ionosphere, which activates the Northern Lights. That's why it's got people all thinking.
Do you have that article, Renee?
I do.
Okay, you want to put it up on... Just put it up on the screen for people. There it is.
So HARP is a huge conspiracy theory, especially down in the States. Not so much in Canada, because Canada, we don't hear about it. But why are they studying it?
You've got me now. I didn't even know
Right.
this was a thing. You can change that.
So the Americans are doing stuff that just boggles your mind. Bill Gates wants to darken the sky so that the sun doesn't come through as much. Here, let's get on this guy. Here's a dude that made billions of dollars creating a program for a computer system and then inventing a virus for it, which then he sold the people the fix.
So you're saying Bill Gates developed a virus for his software?
Yes. So that's how he made his money. Now, all of a sudden, here's a guy that's basically a computer nerd. Okay. Now he's wicked smart when it comes to computer stuff.
We got to back up here a second.
No. He's wicked smart when it comes to computer stuff.
Okay.
But all through the 5 years of the bullshit, the big C word, he became an expert and was interviewed multiple times about vaccines and all that.
Okay, we have to be careful here because we do go on YouTube.
Okay. So all that being said, but how did Bill Gates become an expert in all that shit?
Well, he's been quite involved with with vaccinating kids in Africa and stuff like that.
100%.
So why wouldn't he be sort of in? And I'm sure with a guy that's got that kind of money, he must be involved. Well, he's got the seed bank and all that, so he's got to be involved in that circle of people.
I
somewhere
just think there could have been better people to put on TV that could have built the public's trust rather than
Bill Gates,
a billionaire, right? A billionaire.
So
that's the problem with billionaires, is that they could have the best intentions in mind, but for the regular Jack and Jill or Joe and Jill or whatever, they're so out of reach and so out of touch from us, right?
Oh, absolutely.
For
they
fun,
have no
these
idea.
guys fly to space. Yeah. For fun.
For fun, yeah.
Like, what's the guy who owns Amazon? Jeff Bezos.
Bezos.
Just fired his wife and 7 of her close friends up to space for 15 minutes. What did that cost him? $500 million? Do you know what we could do with $500 million?
Oh, for sure. Yes.
But for a 15-minute space flight, we got to watch Katy Perry fly up to space and come back down and kiss dirt. Like...
I missed that one too.
So,
where have I been?
That's what I'm saying, though. But that's was that what it was? $500 million for a 15-minute space flight for his wife and 7 of her girlfriends. There's the absolute waste of that money is atrocious. Like,
absolutely.
And politicians and people alike should be being like, hey, if you're going to waste $500 million, why don't you put it into a public program?
Well, okay, this comes back to the fact that it's a democratic society, though. So if
It's his money.
yeah, exactly. I mean, if I'm going to be Jeff Bezos, I don't want anybody telling me what I can do with my money, right or wrong, because it is the society we live in.
Yeah.
That allows that to happen. Now, if we ever get to a society, and I'll go back to this, and people just laugh at me every time I say this. If you ever watch the show Star Trek,
Yes.
okay, there's a society with a no monetary value. Everybody just lives. I don't know how they've done it, but that's the only way.
A universal basic income.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother story that we probably should not get into because, my God, I had that conversation with somebody and they're like, "Are you nuts?"
Yeah, I know. It's that's you could have a whole
But
podcast
can you imagine
about that.
this would be utopia, a society where you get what you need, and if you want something more, you can have it as long as you're a productive member of society. So, for an example, you want a new truck, but really all you're doing is gardening. In today's society, the way we look at things, all you're
Sure.
doing is gardening. Do you deserve a new truck? Probably not. I don't know. However, that scale works. But in a utopia society like they have in the show Star Trek, it doesn't matter. If you want a new truck, just go grab one.
Okay.
If you want to go boating for the day, go grab a boat.
Yeah.
As long as you're a productive member of society.
Okay.
So, in today's world, yeah, we can look at Jeff Bezos and say, hey, you just spent $500 million sending your wife and her girlfriends up into space. That could have been spent feeding the homeless or building houses for our veterans and stuff like that. Absolutely correct.
Right.
That's the society we live in today.
Sure.
So, you want to change that society? Let's start.
Okay, so you're right. He earned that money. He has the right to do that himself. Let's take that away from, because he's an individual and he earned that money. He made Amazon, and good for him. I mean, everybody shops on Amazon now. Let's look at the federal governments then,
Okay.
or provincial governments.
Any government.
Sure. Why do we send $50 million over to the Ukraine to help them rebuild when we have 5, 6, 7,000 people in BC who are homeless?
Because as a government, we are obligated to send so much money in charities. I don't know what the actual real word is for it. We're obligated to spend this money.
I understand obligation, a part of the G7 and all those things,
Yes.
and I get that. I truly get that. However, we have to start taking care of home first, Carmen,
For sure.
because if we spent a little bit more at home, we could still give, but is the obligation a specific amount of money? It can't be.
It's a portion of your GDP.
Right. And Canada's GDP has shrunk substantially in the last 10 years, but yet we keep giving away more and more money. The money that we're giving away has increased and our GDP has gone down.
Are we giving away more than what our GDP is?
That's what I'm
I don't know.
I know. Then that's what I'm curious about. And the average Canadian is just told, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's too much. You won't understand it." Right? It's no different than fiscal spending, right? You understand fiscal spending. This ministry gets $100 million. If they don't spend that in a year, say they only spend $75 million, right? The government goes, okay, well, next year, obviously, you only need $75 million. No.
So they're mandated to go out and spend it so they can get that money coming back.
And that's just it, right? So at the end, you just have complete waste. I mean, not like, hey, congrats to you for saving $25 million, because you never know what's going to happen next year. What if this breaks down, or what if you need this new thing and now you need the money? And now it's a matter of, oh, now we got to go raise money because we weren't given it. So fiscal spending's absolutely crazy, right?
Yeah, but we're in a kind of a unique position here in Canada, because if you look at our GDP per debt, I think, what are we at, 49% of our GDP? So I think we're still pretty good. We're not like the States where we're 110%.
Of course.
So we do have the money to give away, but you are correct. Why aren't we using it more for some social programs here in Canada?
I'm not saying that Canada shouldn't help the rest of the world. We're still a rich
We have
country.
to.
Yes,
We have
of course. We're still a rich country, and Canada's always been the kind neighbor and the thank you and the please and you're welcome. And we are. That's why Canadians are loved all around the world. I'm just saying that maybe we have to start looking inward first, because we have a lot of problems here in Canada that need to be rectified, and rectified quickly before they start turning into a nightmare. Yeah,
it has to be properly. We can't have our government funding operations for juvenile people to have a sex change. That shit can't happen anymore.
Right.
That has to stop.
Without a doubt.
We need somebody who is kind of like a Musk, but not as out there. There's got to be a happy medium in there where somebody goes in and actually says, yeah, okay, well, we can fund this, but oh, no, we're definitely not funding that.
Sure. Yeah. There needs to be like a little bit of like Overwatch.
Yes.
Right. Probably not the right term. Overwatch sounds quite, but
I get what you're going with.
Right. So
we need somebody who's fiscally responsible.
Right. So DOGE stands for the Department of Government Efficiency. Right. So that's basically what you need. Right. It's kind of like, okay, here's $50 million.
But it has to be totally separate from the government body that's alive today. It cannot be associated with the Liberal government.
No.
It cannot be associated with the Conservatives. It can't be associated with anybody.
Yeah.
And it cannot be something that is, if the Liberals win, that's gone.
Right.
It has to be law. And any spending that the government has to do has to go through there, and it doesn't matter what department it is. Can you imagine how big that department
that might have helped with something like Arrive Can.
Right.
Where two guys in the basement of a house were given how much money?
Millions.
$2.4 million to try to come up with an app
that didn't work.
And a software developer in Victoria did in his own spare time in a 72-hour period, and it worked better than the Arrive Can.
Right.
Right.
That is just total proof that our government needs a body that's overseeing the spending.
Yeah. How is that still not being investigated? That boggles my mind. Like that just kind of dropped off the radar after.
Had the Conservatives won, I think we would know some more.
Right. Yeah. It's like, oh no, we'll just shuffle that over there. And,
It's like all the scams, whatever you want to call them, that have been going on with the Liberals over the last 10 or 12 years, whatever the hell that was.
Yeah.
That nothing's ever been investigated. What happened was it the We Charity?
Oh yeah, the We Charity was
everything. And at one point, because I was never really into politics until the last probably 10 years. I couldn't have cared less before when I was making all the money in the world and having a good time. I didn't want the government breathing down my neck. Didn't care.
Makes sense.
And then he finally started looking at this stuff like this. So all this stuff starts coming out, and then you start going through and looking at the history of all political parties, and they all have their black eyes.
Of course. Of course they do.
That brings us back to we need our own Doge.
Yes. So, and like you were just saying, I mean, for a long period of time, Carmen, I think a lot of people in Western Canada didn't care about politics for the simple fact that you heard this all the time. Our votes don't count. They already know who the winner is before we even vote.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they truthfully did. I mean,
until this last election, did you watch it?
I know.
I was on the edge of my seat. Okay, I was laying down on my chair, but I stayed up that night and watched the whole damn thing.
You're right, because Western Canada and the federal political parties have realized that there's a lot of seats over here that can really, really swing it. Yep. But I mean, realistically, the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area,
absolutely, yes.
I mean, you win that, you're winning.
Yeah.
I mean, and for years, it's the way it was. It's representation by population, and away you go. But it's a conversation that can be had for hours and hours and hours. And the only thing that I want to see, and I said this.
How do they fix that?
Well, I said this to Tanis too. For the last 11 years with Trudeau, and now it's going to be the next 4 years with Carney, give or take, if they can get him on a confidence vote, which I hope they don't. Give the guy 4 years and see what he can do. But here's my thing.
Because the two parties together working.
So say it'll be 15 years of a non-majority government. Mm-hmm. So I said to my friends before this election started, I'd like to see the Conservatives win, but let me tell you something. Right now, I don't care who wins. I just want a party to be a majority so that after 4 years, if they don't do what they said, you can look at them and go, you had no excuse.
Right.
You had no excuse.
You were the majority.
You were the majority. You could have done everything that you said and you didn't. Right. So for the last little bit of Trudeau, he had Jagmeet, which kind of made him a majority, but he still did fuck all. And I think that's what really killed the Liberals. Right. And then killed the NDP is that you two together were basically a majority government and still didn't do nothing. And I think that's what made a lot of people angry. But realistically, we need a majority government so we can start getting shit done. Or
two governments that work together to get shit done.
Once again, yes. Rather than you guys picking and choosing. And as much as it was funny to watch that new safety minister get grilled by the conservative guys and just completely embarrassed because he didn't know what PAL stood for. He couldn't describe the 3 firearms. He's been questioned about the decriminalization of hard drugs in BC, and he just doesn't know how to answer them. And he basically looks like a kid that's lost. I mean, it's like looking at the new kid at Starbucks. He's easy to point out, right? Just look for the young kid walking back and forth, right? He doesn't know what he's doing, right? Yeah. They can just order a large coffee from that kid, right? And he'd be like, you mean like a venti? You know, like, no, just a large black coffee. So this poor man is just being assaulted. And that's what Parliament's doing right now.
I think they're trying to find their way too right now.
Which, sure, hey. But which is as funny as it is to watch, it's realistically not doing shit for our country.
Absolutely.
So can we just start putting some work through here, guys?
Is Polyev back in the House yet?
Well, so I don't think he doesn't have a seat.
No,
right?
they're doing a by-election in that other guy's
That's right.
riding.
Yeah, so he has to get his seat. So I think
he's not back.
Yeah, there's an interim leader for them right now, right?
Yeah, which is Andrew Scheer.
Yeah, Andrew Scheer, yes. So, I mean, hopefully he wins it. I mean, I think that he's a good leader for that party. I would have been super interested to see how he would have been prime minister, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. There's some things that I have doubts about him, which I'll keep to myself, but I'd like to see him become prime minister. But same thing, as much as I dislike the Liberals and dislike Carney, especially for how he came in and his association with the company that he's now put into a blind trust. But prior to it going into a blind trust, there was a couple questionable moves, moving it to the United States, taking a $250 million loan from the Chinese government. There were some things that were kind of sketchy. Now, granted, he's had to put it into a blind trust, but...
Have you ever watched, there's a guy on YouTube called Moose on the Loose?
No.
He's got a linked chart that shows the linkage between all these guys.
Yeah.
Trump, Carney, the whole works.
Oh, I know, right?
They're all tied together.
It's like a little inner group, right? And as long as they can stay in power and keep the status quo.
But therein lies the problem. If you look at a guy like Polyev, who this I 100% believe, his family has not been in politics. They're school teachers.
Right.
So you get a guy like that in there, and that's probably one of the reasons why, for some reason, I don't know, whatever happened to his riding, somebody did that on purpose.
Oh, with the ballot.
Yes.
With the ballot. I get that part, but the restructure of his riding was
118 people on the ballot. So anyway, him not having that political background, and with Carney having that, with Freeland in behind that because of the relationship between those two, which we all know about. It would have been, you're right, it would be very interesting to see if Polyev came in and cared about the country.
Yeah.
Because we know all these other politicians, are they there for their own personal gain? Is it a power trip? That's something we don't know. That's because we're not inside their heads, but it sure seems to be that way.
I think a lot of them are in it for personal gain. I think that a lot of new politicians go in with wide eyes saying that I'm going to change this country. I'm going to make a difference. And then they get in there and they realize how easy it is and how little they work and how much money they make. And if I can ride this out for 10 or 15 years, I get this pension. And I think they get, it's just like, shit, we lost that guy too.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Jagmeet's a perfect example of that. That guy, for lack of a better term, is just a POS. I mean,
a lot of people said that about him for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he did nothing in politics, truthfully.
Well, now he's got a new career as a hair model.
Yeah, right.
As a hair model?
As a hair model.
Are you serious? You don't know. You're just throwing that out there.
You've seen all the YouTube videos with his turban gone and his long flowing locks?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, you're missing out.
I don't think I am, but okay, thank you.
I don't know the direct ties, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but his ties to the Khalistan movement. That's kind of questionable. Now I don't know enough about it.
Correct. That is questionable because a lot of people have brought that up.
I know. So
and I have not been able to find a paper trail that links them to him.
Right. So but there was enough that wasn't looked into. I don't know. Right. But I mean, the thing about him is, to be honest with you, and it's the last thing I'll say about him in this podcast, is that I'm glad he's gone. And I'm kind of glad.
I think everybody is.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that how he destroyed the NDP, and I think it's going to open up a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah.
So
It is interesting, and you're right. And I got nothing personal against him, except for the one time where I seen him on the news threatening.
Oh, the person that came up when he was walking out of the Parliament buildings,
Yes.
and that person called him a
Somebody
derogatory
did,
term,
yeah.
and then he come back at him
Face to face,
yeah.
and the cop standing in the background just watching.
Yeah.
That was rude.
Yeah.
So that was the point where I knew that he was not something.
Yeah.
I tend to give everybody a bit of leeway because I know it's a political arena, and how they deal with stuff. You gotta. I mean, Trudeau definitely lost it because the Liberal Party they went the wrong direction.
Have you ever been asked to go into politics, Carmen? By
And
friends,
I would
family?
never ever do it.
Right, and it's the exact same reason probably why I would, because when you do, your life goes under a microscope.
Absolutely.
And we all have things that we did in the past that could be brought up, and it would just be like, holy shit.
No, that's not what stops me. You know what stops me? Because I've been asked in a social club to run for seats and stuff like that. I was in the Masons for years, got to 32nd degree, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's the political backstabbing that happens within the groups. That's
Right.
what stops me from going into politics and becoming further diving into social groups and stuff like that. Is because I don't believe in the infighting. So that I could care less if somebody dug up some dirt on me from, I smoked some weed back when I was in high school, or did 3 hits of acid, or whatever the hell it was.
There's
right?
politicians that still
Don't
do
care.
that now.
Yeah. So that part doesn't. I can't handle a part where the backstabbing, the
Yeah.
infighting. That's where I draw the line. That's why I would never become a politician.
Yeah. It's Air Force One, but what's Canada's plane? Canada One or whatever?
I have no idea. Didn't even know we had one.
Well, yeah, no.
I thought it was
There's
just
the Prime Minister flies on I think it's a Boeing 737. It's nothing
Canada?
fancy.
I don't know.
No, it's not Air Canada.
Oh,
It just
okay.
literally says Canada on it.
Sure. It shows how smart I am.
They found cocaine on that plane.
Well, sure.
You know.
How many people is he taking his entourage? 100 and some people?
Right. So, I mean, but it's just, I tell you. I mean, and then you look at, don't get me started on Christina Freeland. I mean, you and I worked at your bar years ago, and I mean, we've seen enough people on cocaine. You look at that lady in the background of any speech,
Oh,
and you're just
careful.
like,
Careful. You don't want to accuse
Yeah,
anybody of
yeah.
anything.
But I mean, she's drank a couple cans of Coke that day.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola's high in
It's
sugar.
weird when she's, like I couldn't believe when you'd be looking at Trudeau talking, she's standing in the background
Right.
doing some weird, I don't know. Who knows?
It's-
Maybe that's just the way
Now,
she is.
that all being said, maybe she's just nervous in front of the camera, and that's the other thing too, is that you could have a wonderful person that would want to get into politics but couldn't public speak to save their
Couldn't get
lives, and right away the public would just go, oh geez, I don't know if that's the person I want. But behind the camera could be the
they're awesome.
perfect person, right? But just because you're not in front of the camera.
But most people that have a heart or something that want to actually do something are destroyed by the people who are in it for ulterior motives.
Right.
So those people will never last. So to become a politician, you got to have some pretty goddamn thick skin. I'll bet you not one politician out there in the world ever reads their social media.
Oh, probably not. It's all probably run by
Somebody else.
a manager.
If
or
you
something.
read that shit, you would never want to be out in public ever again. Anyway, Stacy, I love to have you back again. I know it's Father's Day and you got to get moving on. So
Yeah.
it's been awesome.
I had fun. Thank you very much.
I
It
had a
took a
great
long
time,
time
too.
for me to get here, but we can do this again for sure because
Absolutely.
we can go on to a bunch of other things. And I've left you a bunch of little conspiracy theories that
Oh,
you can
I'm
go.
definitely going to be
Just
looking
go,
at those
like
things.
I said, go read into them and just form your own opinion. But it's really neat and it'll make your mind think too, right? But the cloud seeding one is the one that made me laugh the most because for years chemtrails didn't exist. And now it's just, oh yeah, they do. And this is why we're doing it. So
Okay, so
and
here's one for you.
Okay.
Polish up on your UFO theories for the next one.
UFO theories. All right, I'll look into
Okay,
that.
buddy. Cheers.
Thanks, brother.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.